Counter-Strike, the game I decide to re-download every few months, only to play a couple of matches, realize I'm terrible at it, just to uninstall it again. Yeah, Counter-Strike has never been one of my favorite games of all time, but when I say that, I'm more so referring to CSGO, or CS2 as it's now called. Thankfully, I'm not talking about CSGO for this video, and unfortunately, I won't be talking about my favorite Counter-Strike either, that being Counter-Strike Source. What I will be talking about, however, is Counter-Strike on the original Xbox. I mean, it's literally in the title. What did you think I was going to be talking about? Counter-Strike on the original Xbox was released on November 18th, 2003, after being announced at E3 the year prior in 2002. Honestly, it's a miracle this version even got released because Gearbox decided midway through development that they were just gonna bitch out, so the task of putting Counter-Strike on the original Xbox was given to Ritual Entertainment and a little studio called Turtle Rock Studios, who would go on to develop and two other games I won't dare mention on this channel. Anyways, with all that out of the way, I think it's time we take a look at the original Xbox version of Counter-Strike. Is it any good? Only one way to find out. Alright, first thing I want to say is calling this game just Counter-Strike is a little disingenuous. This isn't really the first Counter-Strike, but it's more so based off of the follow-up to the first Counter-Strike, which was called Counter-Strike Condition Zero. When I played Condition Zero for this video though, I could barely tell the difference between it and the original Counter-Strike though, so somebody is gonna have to tell me what makes the two different in the comments. Condition Zero did have a single player campaign though, which didn't make it into Counter-Strike on the Xbox, unfortunately. It was planned to be in there, but due to how messy the development of this game was, it never made the cut. Due to the lack of a single player campaign mode, this game was multiplayer only. Instead of a campaign, the single player experience is just compromised of being able to set up bot lobbies. What might surprise you though is this version of the game doesn't have split screen. Yeah, an original Xbox game with no split screen during a time when split screen multiplayer was pretty popular. Other than that, it also had online multiplayer, which unfortunately doesn't work anymore since the original Xbox Live servers shut down in 2010. There's also a short training mode that basically just teaches you how to play both counter-terrorist and terrorist. It's really nothing special, just your average tutorial. When this game was still able to be played online, there was quite a bit to do, but like I said, the online multiplayer shut down, so you're limited to just playing by yourself with bots, which, yeah, that's fine, but it can get boring once you play all the maps. Thankfully, there's like 20, so you should be fine for a while. 7 of these 20 maps are actually original to this version of the game, and 13 of the maps are just remakes of already existing ones from the PC version. It's pretty impressive though that they were able to fit 20 maps into this game in 2003, and Activision can't put more than 12 multiplayer maps into a Call of Duty at launch nowadays. This version honestly surprised me with how much content is actually in it. The only thing I can think of that I didn't see in this version of the game, you can't select which terrorist you want to be or which counter-terrorist you want to be before starting the game, but that's a minor nitpick, so I don't really care that much. It's just something I noticed that wasn't in this version. Other than that though, that's really all I can say about this game in terms of content, but how does the game actually play? Counter-Strike on the original Xbox is pretty weird when it comes to the gameplay. Turtle Rock and Ritual did their best to make Counter-Strike work with controller controls, and honestly, they didn't do a bad job. Counter-Strike is a game that 99% of people play with a keyboard and mouse, so adapting that to a controller is a pretty difficult task. The actual controls I think work really well. These controls did take some getting used to, of course. Using left trigger to crouch was pretty weird, but over time as I played the game more, it started to feel more natural. This game, despite the controls being pretty okay, can be pretty tough to get the hang of right away. Trying to stay accurate is a pretty tough task sometimes just due to, well, playing on a controller. You're not going to get the same accuracy that you're going to get on keyboard and mouse, obviously. But it's definitely playable and you can be accurate, it just takes some getting used to. Other than the weird controls, the gameplay remains pretty much the same as the PC versions of Counter-Strike in Condition Zero. While the gameplay is the same as the PC version for the most part, the UI is completely different compared to the PC version. I think I prefer this UI over the UI in the PC version of Counter-Strike though, since It's super streamlined and it's super similar to CSGO's UI, at least when talking about the buy menu. The UI when actually playing the game is super simple as well and is really easy to understand. It doesn't take up too much of the screen and it's really clean looking. Unlike Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League's UI. Anyways, besides gameplay, the one other thing I want to talk about is the visuals and performance. Honestly, this version of the game doesn't look half bad. Sure, it's noticeably lower resolution than the PC version, which is to be expected, but when you put it side by side to the PC version, it doesn't look all that bad. The performance is honestly pretty good too. It can lag sometimes, but it's never anything that causes the game to be unplayable. With all that being said, I have to say the original Xbox version of Counter-Strike is a pretty decent port. It looks great, plays great, hell, it runs great, which is more than I could say about Half-Life 2 on the original Xbox. I think if you're a big Counter-Strike fan and want to see what Counter-Strike was like on the original Xbox, this might be worth picking up. It's certainly a really cool version of the game, and while it did sell over 1.5 million copies, I'd say this version is still pretty obscure. Some of you watching this video might not have even known this version existed. It's also backwards compatible on the Xbox 360, so if you have a 360, I'd suggest picking this game up just to try it out. To end off this video though, I just have one question. Why the hell didn't Counter-Strike Source get a console port? Alright, I'm gonna get the IP address again. IP address. Over.
UP address? Yo, I'm playing Cruelty Squad now, holy shit.
What is this? What is this?
What is going on?
Oh my god! What happened? I love PC gaming!